Hey everybody, welcome to my Suburban Oasis. My name is Soleil and I garden in a Zone 5B in mid-Michigan, and today we are going to do our weekly walkabout and garden tour, take a look at what is doing well, and maybe if there's some things that aren't, we'll check those out too. Alright, let's get going. Well, here in the potager garden, we have some beautiful things blooming. We have our Potomac orange snapdragon still blooming over here, and we have a strawberry Sunday hydrangea that is doing really well. It's actually starting to turn pink, and it is gorgeous. And this has been here for 3 years now. This is its 3rd year, and I'm really pleased with the way that it's filling in this corner. I still haven't come through and divided up my irises because they have gotten quite a bit crowded in here, and I really need to do that, but I just haven't found the time. So now that I am back from my vacation, maybe we'll be able to get that done. It's really a good time to do that before it starts to get a little chilly so they can get their roots down. This garden bed, wow, the mums are getting big, aren't they? These are the mums right here in front. They're probably about 2 feet tall. I can almost hardly believe it. But we should have some really good blooms from the mums. It's been a little bit weird weather-wise. We've been actually getting rain almost every single day at late afternoon. The sky just kind of opens up and dumps a bunch of rain on us. So that's not normal for August. Now we have 2 little lime hydrangeas back here. They are still just in bud form right now, but they're going to be putting out some blooms soon. It still could be a couple weeks for them. They are a late bloomer for sure. But the pinky winky hydrangea that is right here is looking really good. It is definitely starting to put out its blooms and starting to turn pink. So I'm looking forward to what this one will do next year. I think we're really going to get some excellent coverage as this one fills in next year. So just excited about that. We're starting to get some pink berries on our coral berry over here. Isn't that beautiful? They're just this light pink color that's almost unreal to find in nature. I remember when I first saw them and I couldn't believe that that color actually existed as a little berry. Now, our half moon garden is looking great. Our privet is a little bit out of control right now. I do need to come through and give that a nice prune and just tidy up that hedge, but that's going to add on probably another good inch or 2 onto the height of it, which will be nice. I'd like to get it up to about the height of those chairs. And our Tianshan 7 sunflowers, you can see all of the buds on them. Just look at that. So those are going to be opening up soon, and those will be a really beautiful white. They're a very dainty flower, and they smell good. The pollinators love them. It's fantastic. We're actually getting some more blooms on our roses over here. These are our high voltage roses. And they are gorgeous. I love these blooms, just the color of them. And then up above them we have the hibiscus. This is the Rose of Sharon hibiscus. And these blooms last 1 day before they fold and then fall off of the plant, but there are lots and lots of them that happen. And they tend to start towards the bottom of the plant and then work their way upward. So you can see we still have a ways to go. And then we have lots of blooms that are starting to show up here on our evening rose hibiscus. Isn't that stunning? It's so big. It's probably 5 feet wide at this point and 4 feet tall, which is what it's supposed to be. That is its maximum size. But they are simply beautiful, and so many more to come. These also just open for 1 day and then you lose them. But looking really, really pretty. I'll try to remember to glance back when we get back at the other end of the pool so you can see what a nice effect that they have even from far away. I mean, you can see just right here how big they are and how they fill out their space. And those blooms are so, so big. think this is actually the end of Summerific Week, which is the celebration of the Summerific hydrangeas. You can see that because of the rain that we got today, the lady's mantle has some small droplets of water beating up on it so beautifully. And again, with the roses of Sharon over here, they're looking very pretty. Now as we head over to this garden, definitely enjoying some more of those blooms on the Boom Chocolata geranium. I can't wait to divide that this fall. I'm really hoping I'm going to be able to get a couple of plants out of this one. We will see. And then we have another strawberry Sunday hydrangea. This one's fairly small. The soil over here is not that fantastic, but it's doing good. It continues to get bigger every year, and it's just a really nice size right now. Now here I'm going to have to pull these coneflowers out of this garden bed. The rabbit has just, really destroyed them, and I don't think I want to keep them in here. But we have some more of the strawberry Sunday hydrangea in the back, and we have this Bar Harbor hydrangea, and I'm going to be pulling out these hostas soon that are on either side of it because they are kind of taking up some of probably the nutrients and water for that hydrangea, so I want to help that along. And they all look really nice under the plum tree. I really like that color in the garden. And if we just kind of even look down this border, the lime color of the Bar Harbor hydrangea here looks so pretty next to the arborvitaes. And this is such a nice, calming, and peaceful area right here with the 9 bark that we have. And then the pink diamond hydrangea tree form. This is only its first year in the garden. I planted this last fall, so I think it's doing really, really well. It's already starting to turn to what I suppose they would consider the pink diamonds. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what type of growth that one will put on next year. Hopefully it's happy in its new space. The ferns are looking really beautiful right now, along with the lungwort. It has just really, really filled out this summer. And the hanging baskets, I think they look really nice also. They are just fairly simple, and I think it's a nice look. This lungwort has put on a lot of growth, and I may have to do some rearranging in this corner because you can already see that this Scarlet O'Hara, this is a Pieris, and it is starting to put on its buds for its really early spring blooms. This one actually blooms white, and it has beautiful drape-like white blooms that just kind of come down in racemes. It's beautiful. We've gotten even some nice fresh growth on these Brunnera over here. So they're still just looking really nice and fresh this summer. I'm really enjoying the look of the hydrangea blooms as they kind of color up a little bit on the oak leaf hydrangeas. This is the first year that I've had some really nice blooms on them and been able to get them to dry up into, kind of a pink color. They do have some of the parchment color in them as well, but just really, really pretty. And this garden bed is very cottagey right now. Lots of white David phlox along with the scabiosa down here and some coneflowers. And this Pinky Winky hydrangea standard is now looking really gorgeous. I just think that looks super pretty. It has filled in so nicely this year. This one is in its second full year here, and it definitely put on a lot more growth. The Sum and Substance hostas here, that's these lime green ones. They are so, so big. The leaves are just giant. And our tiarellas have lost their blooms. Those were the pink fizz ones right here, but the foliage remains beautiful as always throughout the spring, summer, and fall. So they're really great and beautiful, and they make a nice combination with these ferns. I really love the color mixtures along this garden border. Now here you can see a really good example of the oak leaf hydrangea blooms and how they're turning that limey pink color as they dry on the stems. I just think that's beautiful. This is the first year again that I've really gotten a good look from those, and you can see that also over here. These are even a little bit lighter color. They get a little bit more sun over here. The astilbes have gone over now, so I haven't come through and cleaned up the bloom heads on those yet, but they are definitely done. However, the Jack of Diamonds Brunnera right here is looking really nice, I think. And we're still waiting on the blooms from this little hottie hydrangea. Now I just planted this one out this year. It was in a pot last year. Oh my goodness, you see that bunny right there? He's just eating. Same bunny. Well, I'm glad he's in the grass eating. We'll let him be. Now I think I might actually move the dark side of the moon astilbe that I have in here, but I'm not sure. I feel like it might not be getting enough sunlight. It still is a nice deep dark purple, almost black, but it didn't bloom this year, so I'm going to give it, I don't know, maybe another year. We'll see what I decide to do. I always make a lot of decisions in the fall to make changes because that's the time to do it, kind of the last time before next season. And then you never know what spring and summer are going to bring next year. But typically we usually have decent enough time during the fall and winter for the roots to get in and do well. So I do like fall for dividing plants best. We're getting lots of new growth on this Jacob's Ladder. This is the Heaven Scent, and you can see that beautiful burgundy tinge or purple tinge that the leaves take on there. Behind it we have another little hottie hydrangea that we're still waiting on blooms for. But our hydrangeas back here that we planted, the Cape Lookout ones, are looking pretty good. Some of the blooms are going over, but we still have some nice new ones as well coming in. So that's been a really nice addition, and with all this rain, the ferns are doing absolutely wonderful. We have some brand new fronds coming up here. Isn't that cool? We've gotten a lot of new growth as well on this fern. It might be a Christmas fern, I'm not sure of that. And we're getting more bloom buds on the pierce over here as well. These are the Valley Rose, so these are more of a light pink bloom that we'll be getting in the spring, but they have a really beautiful color on them during the winter as well as they develop and get ready for blooming in the springtime. Such a wonderful plant for multi-season interest. These heucheras right here have stood strong and done really well this whole summer. We have both the black pearl over here as well as the bilberry heuchera, which is more of a maroon. And the black pearl is more of a purple-black color. But doesn't the firelight hydrangea look amazing? Let's look at it back this way. I love this view as well. We could see the phlox behind it. We could see all the other hydrangeas and different blooms and the nice little path. Let's look at the color on this one. One of my favorites for sure. All of the hostas are doing really well in here. In fact, so well that I'm probably going to need to divide some of these August moon hostas because they're getting quite large. They will grow quite wide. They don't get super tall, which is nice, but they are very, I would say, vigorous grower in terms of growing wide. We have some great apples going on. I just picked another one yesterday. And just more growth on these pieris coming in. And I need to come through and probably tidy up this bed a little bit. Definitely lots of blooms coming on the hostas here, which are pretty, but at the same time, I feel like sometimes it gets a little bit busy for me, so I like to come through, and there are certain parts of the garden where I will just cut back the blooms. So I'm going to take you guys in the way back garden real quick. All right, here we go. So here are the stairs on the way back garden that are still being worked on. We have some shrubs on the right, and then we have geraniums on the left, and kind of a mix of lots of different things in here. And I think I'm going to be planting a shrub in this garden bed between the stairs. But we also have some white wood asters that are all throughout this garden that are going to be really beautiful. And they seed themselves, and they're great for pollinators. And I just love them. Now I have gotten some additional pea gravel here that you see that I'm going to be using to kind of lay down on this pathway that we created. Now, things have really done well since we planted them in here. So we'll just kind of walk down this pathway, show you, the lungwort and the brunnera. We have quite a few different varieties in here, and they're just looking really, really good. They've gotten a lot more water than I anticipated them getting. So it has been great for them to be able to get established this year. Not super dry and hot like it could be in August. Instead, just really nice, a lot of temperatures in the low 80s with rain almost every single day. So yeah, you can see some of the lamium, and we've been getting some nice new growth on the, these are autumn ferns, I believe. And they have done much better after we've gotten some of the rain here. So we'll just finish this pathway up along here and kind of connect it up to the top. And that should be nice. All right, let's head back into the other garden. In the main garden here, you can see the little lime in this corner is starting to do much better in terms of putting out some blooms. They're definitely bigger this year than they were last year, so I'm excited about that. And it looks really beautiful, just kind of lighting up this corner. The daylilies have kind of gone over. I'm seeing some tiny buds on my limelight here. Now this limelight was just planted last year, so I wasn't even sure if I would get blooms on it. A lot of times in my garden, I feel like the hydrangeas take a year or two to really get their roots established, and then they start to bloom better after that. And this one here is a diamond rouge hydrangea. I have one just like this on the deck, and it gets full sun all day long, no shade whatsoever. And because of that, it's actually fully bloomed as of a couple weeks ago and has turned, some beautiful pink colors, but this one's just opening. Now here we also have a really beautiful scene, a menagerie of different plants with a rose on the right here that is white with tones of pink in it. And then the barberry with a beautiful firelight hydrangea behind it. And then mingling in and amongst it is that gorgeous Roxanne hardy cranesbill geranium. And it is definitely mingling all throughout this garden bed. They do get so long and leggy, but they will climb up and over things kind of like a vine. And I think that is just beautiful. The firelight hydrangea over here, this is just its second year, is doing good. It is now putting on its color. And all of the autumn joy sedums are putting on their buds. We're just starting to see the beginning of the opening of the blooms on this buddleia. We have quite a few Pugster Blue in here. I think we have 4. And they're getting quite large. They should have been blooming by now, but again, I think because of the cooler temperatures we've had this summer and because of the rain, they're just a little bit behind normal. And I'm really excited to show you that my Eden climbing rose up here is blooming again. Isn't it amazing? This is probably its third or fourth. I think it might be its third year. I'm not sure, but we definitely are getting about 10 additional blooms on this plant, and they look so beautiful. This is the first year that I've gotten a second flush of blooms on the plant, so I hope that this becomes a tradition for the plant. Hopefully it likes blooming a second time and it does it again next year. Now we have a strawberry Sunday hydrangea back there. I think eventually I'm going to move that a little bit further forward. I think I told you I might move this arborvitae that we topiaried. So just a little bit more work to do in this garden area to make it feel a little bit more cohesive. I struggle a little bit around this pole that helps hold up the electricity and the other lines that we have running through the yard. We have lots and lots of pollinators everywhere. Bumblebees and hoverflies and sweat bees. They're on the salvia and they're in many different places. And let's just kind of look up here because this is kind of my favorite aspect right now of the garden bed. I am loving it. The pollinators are absolutely loving it too. But isn't that gorgeous with all of the whites and the pinks and the purples? I mean, these millennium alliums are blooming their heads off right now, and the pollinators are just so excited about it. I mean, I see lots of them right now, but honestly, we just had some rain drop down before this, so they all probably ran away, but you can still see they're everywhere on it. And you know, this started with just a clump from a friend. We traded plants, and I have just continued to divide it over the years. I've probably had it for 3 years in my garden now, not very long. They really establish quickly, and they bloom for about 2 to 3 weeks, I want to say, in the summertime. They're a nice late summer bloomer, and they look great with these verbenas. I mean, these verbenas just dancing overhead are gorgeous, and they look amazing with the hydrangea behind them, which will eventually get bigger. So hopefully we'll be able to see that up behind them eventually. And the sedum just goes really well with it as well, just that deep purple. And then all of the hydrangeas with the pinks and purples. The limelight that we planted here is doing fantastic. It looks great. It hasn't been floppy, so that's good. It hopefully is getting rooted in pretty well. But yeah, this is just a real favorite. Even this rose marble salvia is blending in and showing off in this area. And with our quick fire hydrangea and our new little topiaries, we got the strawberry Sunday hydrangea back here that's starting to bloom, and this one's doing better than last year. This one also has been a real slow one to kind of catch on. They definitely all perform very differently throughout my garden, but it's doing better this year, so I'm happy about that. Well, let's head over into the fountain gardens and take a look at what's going on over here, because they are looking fantastic as well. We came over here and did some cleanup when we came back from vacation, but boy, look at that berry white hydrangea. Isn't that stunning? It's just like fireworks shooting out from the center. That is beautiful. And then draping over the millennium allium. Oh, you love it. And then look at these roses are starting to bloom, and the spireas are starting to bloom. Such a medley of beautiful colors and flowers. I'm telling you, the pollinators right now in my garden, they are getting the royal treatment, right? Now I did get some flopping on the limelight hydrangeas in these 2 urns over here because of the rain, but I expected that to happen because they had some really kind of thin stems going on them. And these hydrangeas are kind of going over into their lime stage. These are the Incredibles, but they look beautiful anyways, and some of the verbena that we planted in this garden is kind of giving us a little bit of a show as well. We're getting a little bit of phlox reblooming over here. This is the Pinkadot. And then we have our evening rose hibiscus that is over here as well. And I just love how this path looks right now with all of the little thyme. I don't know if you have ever planted thyme in your garden, but it spreads pretty well and the pollinators love it. It smells great when you step on it, and you can harvest it to eat. And we're getting some nice new growth on this hydrangea. This is an incredible hydrangea as well that was just a small cutting at the beginning of this year, and it's definitely starting to find its way into the soil. All right, let us head on over to the front garden. We got some fun things out there for you as well. The coneflowers are definitely going to town. Let's see. So as we come through the gate here, this is definitely a beautiful sight to see. Another strawberry Sunday hydrangea with the Dreamland geranium at its feet. So, so pretty. The blooms are so just fluffy as can be. I'm definitely going to be giving this another haircut. This is a burning bush that I've kind of topiaried into a small tree form. And it's fantastic, but it does grow back every year, so I'm going to have to keep trimming it. But everything's looking really good here. The PG hydrangea form right here has definitely turned its full colors, and I think it's beautiful. We have lime and rust and maroon and pink all together. And then as we head out to this garden bed, you will see just how many coneflowers we have in bloom right now. It's quite magnificent, actually. And on top of the coneflowers, we're beginning to get the mums as well. So you see the mums down around the base as a bushy kind of sub-planting with the huge discs of the beautiful purple coneflowers surrounding these little tiny wine nine bark. And yes, the pollinators love these too. There's definitely things that I love in my garden, and some of those things include animals, and that includes the insects as well. So I'm very happy to support their population because they help our plants and our planet. The pots didn't do so well. I lost some lobelia in them. I've got some weeds in them. I haven't come through and cleaned those up since I got back from vacation. But we still have some things that are alive in there. The GMs are still alive, so I can definitely pull those out and plant those this fall. And they will be a perennial, hopefully, for me. We got some funny looking new growth sprouting at the top of this weeping crabapple. So that'll be fun to see how that turns out over the year as it comes back next year. But this Gara is just crazy. It's like a crazy haircut right here, and I love it. We've got so much pink and purple and yellow over here. It's gorgeous. They just bob out in the wind. I've had all sorts of butterflies in here as well, just enjoying all of the different flowers, swallowtails especially. Now I did have my berry chiffon coreopsis come back, but it's very small. I think it's not getting as much sun as it would like, but I'm just happy that it came back at all because I think it's a really, really pretty plant. So I wanted to show you that. And we've got lots of little buds setting on the Oscar Peterson rose back here, so that's starting to come out with a new flush of blooms as well. Oh, here comes the sun. Very beautiful light. And here we have some more Gara. This I just planted this year, so it's not quite as wild and crazy, but it probably will be next year if it comes back. So I think this garden bed is really pretty right now because we have finally some more color in here with the coneflowers and the millennium alliums. And we have plenty of color as usual in our front garden bed here. That is full sun. The bobos have continued to do well. I was a little worried about the deer coming along and eating those, but they're doing just fine. Oh, I don't know if you can hear that. We're supposed to get a storm in about an hour, so it sounds like there's some thunder rolling in. Look at this dreamland geranium over here mingling with the salvia. Isn't that pretty? I believe that's the Merlot rose salvia. And the bobos are starting to turn their slight blush pink out front here, which I think is really pretty also. And here in front we have more millennium allium, along with that powwow wildberry coneflower, which is a really beautiful pop of pink. And that will go really nicely as well when those sedums come out. So I like that combination a lot. And this is a blue, it's called Ice Blue Salute salvia. So that's looking really nice. And we definitely eradicated the hornet's nest when they came out and picked them up to, take in and create anti-allergy venom with. So that's gone from this tree. So I feel like I'm safe walking around out here again, and I can probably come through and trim up some of the branches that are hanging down that I wasn't able to get to. We have some scabiosa over here. This is the pink variety. And we also have some salvia here. But the bobos are finally starting to put out some color on this side as well. So we're getting some nice blooms. I've definitely seen that the deer got a few off the middle one, but other than that, overall, I feel like they've done pretty well. And I'm looking forward to seeing these guys next year because I feel like they're really still putting their roots down. This is their second full year in the ground. But this bed's looking really nice after we cleaned it up the other day, I think. Makes me real happy. I've got a great view out my window. I can see the bobo hydrangeas peeking out from the front there, as well as the ones underneath of the weeping tree. And the oak leaf hydrangea, I think it's getting a little bit too much sun. You can see that the flowers are kind of crisping up, either that or it didn't have enough water. I'm not sure which is the case. It does get full sun all day, no shade, so I might actually end up moving this one because I do love the plant, but it just might not be full sun. They say it can take full sun on the tag. This is a jet stream hydrangea, but I'm in zone 5B, and so I would definitely not recommend people in zones where it's warmer than me plant that in full sun. I don't think it would do well at all. Well, let's come up to the house and see what we have going on up here. I did have all of my pots up against the house for my sister to take care of from my back deck, so those are looking pretty good. I'm actually getting some new blooms on this hydrangea. There's lots of buds on it. So that was one that my staff at work gave me. I think it was for my birthday this year. So I'll be excited to see if that reblooms. I might winter it over. These hydrangeas are also starting to show a little bit of brown on their blooms. So they're kind of going over. I don't know if they'll put out more blooms before this fall, but we'll keep an eye out for them. Make sure you keep your azaleas and rhododendrons watered because they are putting on little buds right now for next year's blooms. You don't want them to dry out. Here's our firelight that we just planted a few weeks ago, looking fantastic, fully colored up, fully. It is starting to dry out now. So these are a beautiful, beautiful color, and they will retain that color if you cut them like that. They make a wonderful decoration in winter, a wonderful dry flower if you want to bring them in. And this shade bed continues to look really, really nice. I'm going to divide this hellebore. I say it every year and I'm still thinking about it, so it's on my mind and we're getting close to time to do it. I'm looking forward to that because it has a really beautiful bloom on it in early spring or late winter. We did lose a couple of hosta to the deer, unfortunately, but that's okay, they'll grow back next year. So I'm not worried about it at all. And then back here, things are looking really healthy. In fact, I just want to show you the Verbena bonariensis because, man, this one has gotten tall and it is full, and the butterflies and the pollinators love it. They're not on it right now, but they definitely just crawl all over it during the day, and it's so fun. I'm hoping it reseeds itself. Now, we recently trimmed the low growth sumac that is over here, and you can see it's starting to put out lots of new growth because of that. So it's really filling in. And so that just kind of tells me it responds really well to pruning. So I'm going to keep doing that over the years to help keep it in bounds, because this one is one that roots in very easily by layering, which is to put the stem along the ground and it will root in. I do need to come through and do some deadheading on my hostas over here. You can see that the blooms have all gone over, and since we've gotten some really heavy rains, they're looking a little bit worse for the wear right now, but nonetheless you can still see the beauty of this garden bed. The Halcona chloe grass has responded really well to the extra moisture. And then we have some blooms on our helenium over here. They are an orange and yellow and very vibrant colors for late summer. Well, thank you everyone for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this garden tour. It was fun to walk around and check things out, and I feel like the garden is in such vibrancy right now in the late summer. I'm really looking forward to seeing even more things come into bloom as the late season hydrangeas are still getting ready to bloom. Thanks again for joining me, and we'll see you next time.